Let's talk about Ye, whatever he going by now, versus the people. In the context, I want to talk about what I actually agreed with from what Kanye said in the White House with Trump, as opposed to what I disagree with and all the same other fuckity fuck shit that damn near every other black YouTuber, black media, black radio personalities are talking about. Charlemagne was probably the only one who gave a nuanced approach to him without completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But I only believe he did that because he's strategic and he needs Kanye. They have another interview coming up about mental health. He got that first interview for him before he went on TNZ. So I think the reason why you'll hear him be somewhat balanced in addressing Kanye is because he doesn't want to sever that relationship, which is smart on his behalf. But damn near everybody else in the media is talking the same fuckity fuck shit. And I thought, let me do something different. Let me talk about the things from what I heard from the clips and what I agreed with. Let's talk about it.
Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. And as soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own. That's something I learned from Jim Brown, from A Mayor I Can. We need to put curriculums from people who really came from the streets, not people who are just trying to set us up to go into a work system or prison system.
All right, trying this damn shit for the 4th time. God damn it. All right, so some of the things I agree with that Kanye said. Let's go. Let's try this one more time. So, I agree with what Kanye said about the school system being antiquated. Those were not his words, but he talked about his rendition was what did he say? Oh, he said play basketball and do math, which people thought that was retarded to say, but I've been in classes where we've incorporated physical things with mental things to get you to learn and rememorize stuff, whatever. But I got what he was saying, that the school system is antiquated the way it is. The whole prison to pipeline thing is obviously a thing, and it's clear. We know that boys work better when girls are not in a room. There are things that you could do that get boys to learn better and operate better that we could do. I support school choice. Ironically, that's a policy that Republicans support that Democrats don't. All your liberal white friends and allies don't want your black ass kids going to school with theirs. They do a lot of work to keep them from doing that. So yeah, I support school choice, whether it's public, private, charter, or home. If it works, it works. And we gotta look at some of the stuff that works and implement them across the board into a fuller system. The school system way it is it's not working. We need to upgrade it, and we know what to do, right? There are schools, people who have 100% graduation rates year after year, and they're doing things and they're incorporating new ideas to help these kids. So we need to fix that school system. That's one of the things he said that I agree with. He talked about mental health institutions. I don't think he said that in school, but I agree with him on that. My only stickler is because the way the media is doing him right now, and they did Dave Chappelle, they did Cat Williams, I think that we got to be careful with that, right? This is my conspiracy theorist in me, is we got to be careful with the mental illness thing, because it's easy to write us off as crazy when we go out public saying that. There seems to be this bandwagon of mental illness conversations. You got Charlemagne. His whole second book is about it. He's been saying it online for the longest. And I'm just saying, just me thinking, well, if they're over-diagnosing our boys, and that's one of the other points I want to talk about, is we give black boys Ritalin in school because they won't sit still and act like girls. So if we know that they're misdiagnosing black boys because they're active or whatever, or maybe just hungry, we're misdiagnosing them with ADHD medicine. I don't know what they're going to do to us if we start admitting that we're bipolar and all the other shit too, or misdiagnosing us with those things. I agree that needs to be addressed and it needs to be helped. I think what is more important is we need more black people to go in the field as despite all the fuckery that Umar Johnson engages in, he's correct when he says that, you know, most of these people are not clinical psychologists. They're the school counselors, and they're misdiagnosing your kids. And, you know, you put your kids on these medicines, and they get all messed up and moody and messed up and gain weight, all these side effects. They track you, and it's just the way that the state or these institutions make money off of our failure. So, absolutely, the whole school being antiquated and the mental health thing ties into the whole boys, you know, black boys not doing well in a system that's as it is now, and how they, because they don't know what to do with us, they just put us on some medication and say we're crazy or we're hyper active. That's annoying. Another thing that I agree with that Kanye said, and let's talk about this too. The whole, when he said that he wasn't rocking with the whole "I'm with her," that shit to me spoke volumes more than anything that he said. I wish he could have articulated himself better and clarified that shit up, but I'ma just editorialize it and say what I was saying, what I interpreted from what he said. Basically, he was admitting he needed more masculine energy in his life, and he acknowledged that how he grew up without having that and what that felt like. Basically, we need two-parent households, which is obvious. We know this. The data statistics talk about the benefits of having that. But I think his own life exemplifies why, you know, you need that masculine energy around you. He talks about how the fact that, you know, he grew up in a single-parent home, his dad wasn't around and whatnot. But more importantly, he talks about how currently the family that he's married into, you know, it's a bunch of chicks, a lot of estrogen in that space. And apparently he got 2 damn moms now. Okay, whatever. It's 2 mother-in-laws, whatever. So I got that wholeheartedly. I don't know why we can't just have this real discussion about, yo, a lot of men and women in America do not subscribe to female leadership. So that I don't want her bullshit turned a lot of people off. Like, they'll just say, well, they did it because she's a woman. Like, it's deeper than that. They just don't respect female leadership. And that's okay. I think part of the attraction to Trump from some of the people who voted for him, black men in particular, is just his nonchalant, I don't give a fuck attitude, non-PC, I said what I said mentality. Whether he's right or wrong, like, I think people long to see that, because we don't see that in today's politics anymore. Obama was very passive aggressive and moist as hell. He was not firm like that. He was just soft. He was like, when Obama got mad, it was like the white dad that was yelling at his kid that don't listen to him. That's how it seemed when Obama got mad publicly. He didn't embody that at all. And I'm saying, whether you like Trump or not, Trump does somewhat embody that, or closer than we got to it. We saw a little bit with LeVar Ball, and guess what? The media roasted him too. He's sexist. He's a misogynist. He's this and that. They try to write him off. The media attacked him the same way they attacked Trump in that same context. So I got what he was saying without him even saying it. Boys need and men are looking for more masculine energy. When you look at corporations and media, to being PC is popular and it's profitable. And just watch, like, even look at the Cam Newton thing. Like, I did the video about that. Just watching all these black men have to bitch out and say all this dumb shit about what he said to the reporter, that was corny to me. And I'm saying, like, LeVar Ball or Trump wouldn't have responded that way. Like, yo, he said what he said. He wasn't serious. Move on. Like, but all these black men had to tote the corporate line and be bitch asses and say, well, it was a shame and he shouldn't have said that and all this other fuck shit. I agree with that element. Whether you like him or not, you can't ignore that people are attracted to that in Trump. People are attracted to that to anybody who's just, fuck it, I'm going to speak my mind. You don't like it, you don't like it. And then I'm not going to apologize. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have that today. Everybody's sorry about something. So, the whole we need more masculine energy in the world instead of this new shit that we're trying to do right now. I agree with that wholeheartedly. He talked about the current school system antiquated. We need to bring that mental health, yearning for masculine energy. We give boys Ritalin so they won't feel like girls was a part of the whole conversation about mental health. Brand names. He talked about, obviously, you know, the Kanye lines and the songs. They made us hate ourselves, made us love their wealth, and show me where the ball is at. He explained why we feel some type of way, but at the end of the day, you saw what he's doing with his own resources. He bought the big ass 300 acres or whatever, 300,000 acres or some shit like that in Calabasas or whatnot. Walked in the video with Charlamagne about that. He talked about that. about ownership, right? You can't own the ship unless you have ownership. And that's important to us. We talk about, like, if you listen to Yvette and Tone Talks and all the depressing, non-solution rhetoric, black people only own 2% of the wealth, only own 2% of the land. They're not making no more. Land is the best commodity, most important commodity you can have. And he used his resources to do just that. We talk about the whole $1 trillion spending power shit, and people brag about it like it's a thing to talk about. Like, no group measures wealth by, or power rather, by how much they spend. They measure wealth differently than that, and
Baby ain't even 2 months old.
we gotta look at what we're spending the money on and say, where could we spend our money at? And clearly Dr. Claude Anderson been telling this shit for years, and he tired of telling you black guys that, and he about to retire because Negroes don't listen. But even if you believe in the whole rhetoric that Yvette Cornell and Tone Talk spit about how the government's going to save our lives, which is bullshit, you still need an economic base. You still need, right, for the school systems to be better, you need businesses because they pay taxes. And those tax dollars are used to support school systems and whatnot. Like, that's how it works. Like, you can't just be completely, totally dependent on the state. Like, you're not going to get what you want. Even if you got some of the stuff that Yvette and Tone talk about, black people are still going to be 250 years behind. Black people are going to still be marching and asking for other shit. Like, it's basically you're going to be a permanent just ask for shit class instead of building and producing your own shit. That's just my take. You already know how I feel about Yvette and Tone Talks rhetoric. But you need ownership. You need land. You need businesses and whatnot to grow your economy. You can't have the politics without the wealth. It's just that I don't know how we don't understand that. You need the money to control the politics. That's just how it always has worked. Like, it is what it is. But Kanye talked about land ownership. Instead of buying brand names, we need to look at where we do spend our money, do more proper investing, whether it's stock, whether it's owning land, no more GoFundMes, more health insurance, more death insurance, aka life insurance. But it's death insurance. It's for when you die. So your kids ain't got to be talking about GoFundMes online. Those are things that we need to do. He didn't go that deep, but he talked about land ownership. I'm added on. That's what I gathered from that little piece of his rant. He talked about, which I liked a lot, because the reporter tried to say, so what do you think about the violence in Chicago? And for people saying that, intellectualism is dead and all that other stuff, there's validity in that argument, but let's be honest. Black people had... I agree with Malcolm X when he talked about how why is it that black people are always bringing celebrities and entertainers to talk on our behalf for us when it comes to political issues, and he's correct on that. But we got to be honest that at that time, black people did not have the same representation that they do today, right? Back then, we didn't have the aldermen, the mayors, the governors, attorney generals, presidents, whatever, to the magnitude that we have today. We didn't have that leadership. Now, what we do know, for further evidence I directed to Chicago, is that having black leadership does not actually equal successful black people. Chicago has the most black politicians per capita than any other major city, and black people are at the bottom of the barrel in the 16 economic indicators that I guess describe success. Black people in the bottom barrel in all those areas in Chicago specifically, whether it's home ownership, wealth, jobs, all that. Black people at the bottom. A black man has a better job of getting a job in a red state, Alabama, Mississippi, than he does in than the progressive, liberal, blue state of Chicago, right? So black leadership and black representation clearly does not always equate to black success, and we know that from Chicago. It is what it is. But I agree with Malcolm X on that. For whatever reason, we chose to continue to put athletes and entertainers on pedestals and want to hear what they got to say. Mind you, people saying that he's unqualified and can't speak had not shit to say when Obama brought Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj to the White House to talk about criminal justice reform when he was in office, and all the photo ops he took. He didn't invite Michelle Alexander, the author of The New Jim Crow. He invited Nicki Minaj and Rick Ross, right? So to me, when Obama did that and he hung out with Jay-Z and chose them to be a power couple and all that shit, at first I was like, well, why is he doing that? Like that, like what is going on? Like, and the argument is these people are popular and they need the influence. But I said I wasn't even mad at Obama. I'm saying this says more about us than it says about Obama, that they think they need these people to come to the White House to get you to vote for them, rappers and entertainers, instead of actual economists and political science majors and whatnot like that. That's a reflection of us as people. So as much as we could say it's embarrassing that Trump let these rappers come to the White House or these entertainers come to the White House, Obama did the same shit, and we are cool with it. We were cool with Jay-Z and Beyonce giving a free concert in Ohio that they couldn't even sell out, which was a swing state, and she still lost. But for whatever reason, we got all to say about Kanye, but we ain't had shit to say about when Barack Obama was doing it. We ain't say shit about, Hillary dancing, doing the wallow with Roland Martin, or when the Breakfast Club interviewed her twice, the most powerful potential woman in the world. You interviewed her twice on the Breakfast Club, and all you got out of that shit was, I got hot sauce in my bag swag, and I like to dance. But they think they're credible. Another thing that I agree with that Kanye said was, I didn't agree with him saying free Larry Hoover. That motherfucker should be in jail. But the concept of what he was saying is correct 100%. When it comes to gang violence, and he brought Jim Brown with him, who has receipts in dealing with that and has been successful curtailing gang violence in wherever he's from with his American movement. So he brought somebody who has receipts, who's done the work, and who has been a civil rights leader with him, right? People always complain about who they would bring or whatnot. I'm going to come back to that later on. Hopefully I can remember. But I agree with what Kanye said, though. Pookie's, when it comes to the undesirable Negroes who are terrorizing the community, you need people who can deal with that, right? The educated lane can't go to the hood and go back to the burbs and talk to these people and have an impact. The blue-collar brother who live in these communities can't be putting himself out there trying to deal with this shit without backlash and whatnot. You need people who are from the hood, from the streets, who know how to handle that, right? There was a conversation on Mace Jackson, shout out to him, where he interviewed a brother who breaks down the whole gang situation. He breaks down the eschatology of gangs in Chicago, the vice lords and all that other stuff, and how it started and how it broke down. His philosophy, which we can debate about this another time, but was that some people are just predestined to be savages. This is who they are. They're not gonna not be any other way, and you need people who know how to control them, so they can't be just rogue terrorizing the communities. And he basically was breaking down how that's what OGs did in the past. So you need reformed OGs or older men on each block, which is what Jim Brown was successful in accomplishing to curtail violence and whatnot. You need people who are of that life to be out there dealing with that. So I don't know about freeing Larry Hoover, but I'm saying he's right on that. You need people in that environment to do those things in order to get that work. I do have that clip from Mace Jackson when the brother's breaking it down. He has a book too. If I find it, I'll try to link it. But he breaks all that shit down. Again, we can debate about how real that is or whatever, but he breaks that shit down to a science, and he studies gangs for a living. That's his job, and he has a couple books on it too. But Kanye's correct about that. This is a funny thing, right? He said stop and frisk will not work and will not help us, but having OGs on the corner will, right? So it was funny listening to the Angela Yee or the Breakfast Club where they were doing their fake I'm mad at Kanye and he's canceled for the 100th time, right? Kanye's probably been canceled more than any other black celebrity ever. That's how much I guess y'all did love him, because y'all can't let him go. Y'all keep canceling his ass. But he was talking about how he's done. I can't support him no more. But I remember distinctly that, because I did the video, DJ MB supported Stop and Frisk in New York, right? But until he bitched out because everybody told him he can't have his own opinion and you need to change it, he changed his mind. But it took everybody in the industry calling him a coon and this and that and whatnot for him to change his opinion on it. But Kanye had enough common sense to say, "Pure Trump, Stop and Frisk is not gonna work for us." But you supported it initially. But you talking about you can't fuck with Kanye no more. That's interesting. But yeah, when it comes to the street shit, I agree with him. Now, another thing he said, that some lady commented, a reporter I guess said, well, isn't this about gun violence or whatever? And he responded, I'm glad he cleared it up and slowed down and said it right, because he said it wrong the first time, but he said it's not, legal guns is not the problem, but it's illegal guns, which is, I agree with that 100%. We have a right to bear arms, and that's how that clip ended when I saw that clip. I agree with that 100%. When you look at places like Chicago, and any other blue state with these restrictive ass gun laws, it makes it more difficult for black people to protect themselves from these undesirable Negroes who are just rogue and terrorizing the communities and there's nobody putting them in check, you need to be able to protect yourself and have guns. Like, that's just a reality that we got to acknowledge. When you saw what happened with the brother, and I forget his name, who had the gun and he reached for it, those are kind of results of these fucked up gun laws, right? Like, you in New York, I'm going to use the language for my sake because I forgot what they're called there, but in New York we have concealed carry everywhere. Like, that's the main permit you get. I didn't know until recently that we do have a restrictive, which is you keep it at your house or you keep it at your business, but you can't carry it concealed. And that brother had a restrictive, or their Chicago's version of a restrictive. He wasn't supposed to carry it concealed. And I know in New York, if you have a restrictive, if you're going to the range or if you're going to your business and transferring it, it has to be in a lockbox. The bullets have to be separated. Shit like that. That's how you're supposed to carry it, which if you're needed for protection, it's useless to do that, right? So, because it's not that type of permit. So I'm just saying that these laws that they're pushing on you in a lot of these blue states that black people support, right? A lot of black people are going to vote for Gillum in Florida. A lot of black people are going to vote for Stacey Abrams in Georgia. Both of them are anti-gun. Y'all live in a red state where y'all can carry and do whatever y'all want. But if they win, that shit's going to change. I did do a video about some of the shit that Abrams wants to implement in Florida. But y'all going to vote for them, and y'all going to be in the same situation with Chicago. It's going to be more difficult for your black ass to get guns and be a victim. Whatever. It is what it is. But I agree with that part. Again, it's not the legal guns. It's the illegal gun ownership. That's the problem. We have a right to bear arms. That's all he had to say. That's all he had to say. That situation with that brother who pulled the gun, or reached for the gun rather, with the mags on his hip and all that, which he should not have had, which he probably could have if the laws weren't so strict, got a concealed carry, and he would have been good probably. But he's using his restrictive improperly. That's the type of shit you're gonna see from these blue states. That's just what we're gonna have to deal with until we recognize that gun ownership is important, and all this fuck shit that we be supporting does not benefit us. Factory jobs. He's talked about. That's just a no-brainer. Like, I don't know how anybody could disagree with that. A lot of the black men who voted for Trump were educated black men, which was interesting to me. I thought that more blue-collar men would do it, being that black men were affected hard by NAFTA, and TTP would have killed us even more, right? If white men get colds, we get cancer, right? So manufacturing, we dominate in that field, and we got hurt by NAFTA. We got hurt by TTP, and Trump said we're going to renegotiate that shit. That's a benefit for black men. For whatever reason, it was educated black men that voted for Trump, not blue-collar black men, which just didn't make any goddamn sense to me. But we need to bring back factory jobs. That's just a no-brainer. And if Kanye could get Adidas to help him build a factory in Chicago, if he could do something like that, like, you got to give it to the man saying he's done more for black people in his state than the Congressional Black Caucus. Like, real talk, like, you have to acknowledge that politically, Kanye West is more influential than the people y'all motherfuckers actually elected to speak on your behalf. They're not doing shit right now. They're obstructing. They're calling for impeachment. They're sitting on their hands saying, like, yo, we'll wait for the next 4 years like we waited the last 8 years for Obama to do shit. Well, he didn't do shit. We're willing to sacrifice progress because we just don't like Trump. Whereas Kanye is actually having those conversations, discussions with the person who's the most powerful man and can do some things at the federal level to address some of the pain that black people are having in this country. It is what it is. But what was that one? Don't lose my thought right now. We need that for gun ownership. Yeah, meeting with Trump and being in that place. Oh, it was about the factory shop. That's a no-brainer. If he could do that and get that into the framework, that's just amazing. If he could get Adidas to help him do that, or allow him to make an easy factory in Chicago, that's going to, make other companies have to fucking address that. And I know black people think that Nike is a new black power fist symbol, and we all ran out there and bought Nikes and made their stock go up because of the pro-black half-breed Colin Kaepernick. But Nike has its issues with playing both sides, obviously, but whatever. They have an issue with the whole sweatshop stuff, and they have an issue with discrimination within their own company But again, for whatever reason, black people just ran out there because we love symbolism over substance. So it is what it is. But I think that if Kanye got that done, that's a motherfucking major chess move. If he can get a factory built making Yeezys in America, that would change the game. People talk about it ain't gonna happen, whatever. But if he could do that, that's just amazing, and it would make a lot of other companies look shitty if they didn't do something similar or hop on the bandwagon. He would have to. It would kind of force their hand. That's the beautiful thing, though, as far as getting factory jobs, so we can get some of these black men and black boys in Chicago employed. Again, he's doing a hell of a lot more. In that, if he can accomplish that, he would have done more for the Congressional Black Caucus in Chicago than the ones who are there, who are, we elected them to do shit, or y'all did. I wouldn't have elected them niggas. Y'all elected them to do shit on your behalf, and they're not doing it. It is what it is. They're obstructing, and they're talking about impeachment, and they're not trying to get shit done. But if Kanye could do that, that would be good. And he's now, criminal justice reform is a no-brainer. It's a bipartisan situation. I support it. But personally, me, it would not be in my top thing to do. Like, that's just not. I mean, that's a different discussion. He's focusing on criminal justice reform. He's trying to get that shit done, get a lot of these people out of jail. I'm sure Trump is going to do that because that's a simple no-brainer. That's easy. That's bipartisan. The problem is, too, is because a lot of the black leadership wants to obstruct and not work with the administration. When Obama was president, they could have got something passed that would have been meaningful as far as criminal justice reform, but Democrats did not want the bill. They was like, yo, we'd rather wait till we get control and power and push this major bill in that we can't get support for now. So basically they sacrificed getting some shit done to say, oh, we'll leave your asses in jail even though we can get you out now or sooner, but we'd rather have you stand there because we can't get this big massive bill that is not going to pass. It's just not going to happen. And now that Obama's not there, Hillary did not win, Trump is still not going to pass that massive thing that y'all was trying to get, and black people are still sitting on their hands saying, we'd rather obstruct and we'd rather wait. So while they playing political games and wanting to wait on getting shit done, they're sitting in jail, and Kanye's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go get shit done. But for me, I'm not against it, but to me, that's not in my top 5 issues of criminal justice reform. I don't see the logic in bringing more people out who aren't prepared when we don't even have the people who are already out with jobs and have access and stuff like that. Bringing more people into the pool to be unemployed or be underemployed, that just doesn't make sense to me currently. I'm not against it, but I'm saying it wouldn't be in my top 5 things to do if I was in that position. But it's something that's needed, and it's an easy win, though, because it has bipartisan support. But that was just a few of the things. This is my 5th time trying to do this shit because I kept messing up. And one time I did the whole shit without sound. But I do agree with him on the system of schools is antiquated. We need to update it. Mental health is an issue. We need to have that addressed. I am, cautious about how that works, though. It would have to be, we would have to have more black people in the mental health field to address that, because there's not enough people going to those fields because we don't do that, right? We don't go to therapists and shit like that like we should. But I'm just saying, I'm just cautious at how the media is doing him, and they've done other black men. They write us off easily by saying we're crazy because we say real shit sometimes. Gun ownership is not a problem. We have a right to bear arms. 100% agree with that. The problem is the illegal guns. Criminals don't give a shit about your laws. They're going to find a way to get access to guns. Bring in factory jobs would be a no-brainer. That's just like, how can anybody speak against that? What else? More masculine energy. We need to address the single-parent home situation. That's obviously a no-brainer. We already know what the data says about all that. And single-parent households and how that affects the kid. Whew. Mental illness, masculine energy, ownership instead of brand names. That's just like a no-brainer. But one thing is too is weird, right? Because a part of the conversation about Kanye talking about ownership and land and whatnot, like, the man brought 300-something thousand acres, whatever. The man, honestly, like, being that his wife, like, this hasn't come up that his wife is not black. But honestly, if we're telling black people who had black men who hopped the fence, they can't speak and they can't do this and they can't do that, be consistent with that argument, but we know damn well if Kanye said the response to what black people are saying to him, right? Black people are saying fuck Kanye, right? Which is whatever. But if Kanye said fuck black people and said my children are biracial, my wife is not black, I'm over here in Calabasas, I got 300 acre lands, I need to go yoke with black men who are in my situation, in my scenario, or even white men who are in IR situations, y'all would still be in your goddamn feelings if you did that shit. So you gotta understand, what if people start calling you bluff? If they start taking their wealth and their resources, and instead of going back to Chicago, which he does not have to do, and which apparently black people don't want him to do, they don't want him speaking on their behalf, even though I don't think this meeting was him speaking on behalf of black people. This was him being speaking on behalf of his people in Chicago and where he comes from, and trying to heal some of the pain that's there. But what if Kanye did say fuck black people the same way we're saying fuck him, take his damn near $1 billion business of Yeezys and his, and go off and do some other shit? We would still be in our feelings if he did that, right? And I was going to do a video about the interview he did with Kendrick G in Chicago when he came back to Chicago and he did the radio thing. That's a conversation to have, though. But those are the things that I agree with what Kanye said. This is another thing that's weird, right? And let's let this sink in, right? T.I. called Kanye coon and a sample and all the dumb shit. Snoop did said some shit too. But T.I. just opened up a trap music museum in Atlanta, right? Let that shit sink in. But TMZ asked T.I. as he's getting in the car, what would you have talked to Trump about? All the shit I just mentioned that Kanye talked about has to deal with black people in Chicago. T.I. said, if I was in a position and I had that meeting with Trump, I'm going to talk to him about kids in cages. And Kanye's the coon. Everything Kanye said was about black people and black Chicagoans. T.I. said, I'm more concerned about motherfuckers in cages that don't belong in this country than black people in America. Let that shit sink in.
Yes, the blatant disrespect and disregard for my people.
Okay.
And all people of color. You know what I'm saying? I guess maybe we could talk about the children that have been ripped away from the parents at the borders and how they've been allowed to be adopted by other parents and not given back to, to their rightful homes. I guess, something like that. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.